is financed in considerable part, has been over the years, by the Ford Foundation, the multi-billionaire Ford Foundation, the purpose of which, remember, is to change our culture, our civilization, what we've been talking about all hour, so that we can be merged with the Soviet Union. We know that because that is what the president of the Ford Foundation, Rowan Gaither, told congressional investigator Norman Dodd. And so they put this man on trial, and he faced the possibility of several years in jail. Just today, I think it was, it could have been yesterday, the verdict came down. He has to pay these criminals $78,000.
What is the legal basis for an illegal alien, not a United States citizen, suing another citizen for violating his civil rights? What's the legal precedent there? I don't understand.
They're turning the law upside down. You have a judge in the case who allowed the thing to proceed. These judges are politicians. They've been our legal system has been totally corrupted and has been turned into a big casino. And so you've got this man. The important thing to understand is he was on trial. You think they would be on trial.
Exactly.
They were not on trial. He was. And
they were doing criminal trespass on his property.
Exactly. And
once again, property rights.
Over the years, he even, one thing sticks in my mind, they would stop and they would mess up the water there for the cattle would drink. So
That's right. He would leave water out for them.
He put a faucet on so they could get the water out without disturbing anything. No good. They mess everything up. And so he goes out and confronts them. But they're not on trial. He is on trial. Now we're going to be told, well, this is a victory. He won. He's not going to prison. Yeah, but the bottom line is he has to pay them $78,000. Now that's on appeal. His attorney says they are going to appeal that decision, the $78,000 award. But that's where it stands as we speak.
So we've come full circle from the civil rights movement that Americans supported, equality under the law, now to the point where you have civil rights if you're not an American citizen in America.
And both parties support this. Remember that former President, El Presidente Jorge W. Bush, was a big supporter of the illegal alien invasion. El Senador Juan McCain from Arizona, another big supporter. Those are Republicans. And now you've got the new president, just as much a supporter of all of this as they were. So there isn't really going to be any difference in policy. Everybody agrees.
So we're going to have another special status group right given.
Exactly.
On the precedent of this case, now illegal aliens, criminals, that's what they are when they come here. They break our laws. They are criminals. They now have a special status right.
Exactly.
Under our law. That is dangerous, that is subversive, and it sets my hair on fire.
It should. What we need is we need to adopt the Mexican immigration law.
Yes.
The problem would stop immediately if we could only, this reminds me.
Do they have civil rights there like we have here?
No, they have no civil rights. The Supreme Court has said, I'm sure you know this, Mary, that from time to time, where necessary, we will look at foreign law in making a decision.
Right.
Now, of course, the Supreme Court has no grant of power to apply foreign law to something that happens here. They're supposed to implement the Constitution. But that's what they say. Well, why don't we adopt the foreign law regarding immigration from Mexico? Just install the Mexican immigration law here. It would completely solve the problem.
True. Well, speaking of the Constitution, the last thing addressed is any of this legislation, starting back in '64, was any of it constitutional? Where in the Constitution does Congress or even the Supreme Court have the authority to pass this legislation?
I would have to say none of it is constitutional, Mary. None of it is constitutional, and in fact, the federal government has no grant of power to interfere in these areas. And Congress could stop this thing any morning.
And why don't they, Alan? Why don't they want to?
They are opportunists. They are terrified. that they will lose what for many of them is the best job they've ever been able to get in their lives.
Doesn't it come down to these groups that are given special rights are voting blocks?
Exactly.
Isn't that really what it comes down to?
Yes. That certainly is a very, very huge element in the problem.
Well, you see the solution as what? Talked about the black community.
Well, the black community again.
But this includes all of us. So what do you see the overall solution?
The overall solution, as far as I can see, is the problem is the people don't know enough to realize yet what they are fighting. And what you are fighting, my friends, it doesn't matter what color you are. What you are all fighting is you are in a war. You are in fact, a battle to the death. If you lose, you are going to lose your country, the Constitution, everything that is important to you, your freedom, and maybe your life. Now, how do I know that? Well, this is what has happened in every other country, so I'm simply speculating that's probably going to be the end of it here if they get away with it. So the problem is not enough Americans realize that, so they think it's just politics. We'll elect this one, we'll elect that one, we'll diselect that one, and pull that guy out, put this one in. No. You are in a war, a battle to the death. If you don't know, this is one of what I call Stang's laws of warfare. If you don't know that you are in a battle to the death, you will die. It's that simple. If you don't know that you are in a war, you will lose. And you are in a war. You are in a battle to the death. If we could just get enough people to realize that, automatically they would get mad enough to do something about this. The conspiracy for world government has terrified the legislators more than we have. We have to scare them worse.
And Alan, civil rights is a sacred cow. No politician that I know without tremendous pressure would touch this. But if people understand, as I've come to understand, is what should have been a legitimate movement was hijacked by the communists and their agenda, just like last week we discussed how they controlled the spokesman for this movement, which was Martin Luther King. He was controlled and manipulated by the communists to further this agenda. If people begin to understand that, then maybe they can see how the ramifications of this is you're right, is dangerous. It's threatening to them.
Right. It's not just a political movement, and it's not just something that happens over there to somebody else that has nothing to do with you. It's something that has a direct, possibly fatal effect on all of you, on your livelihoods, your homes, your liberty, your freedom. And it is hackneyed to say that time is short, but it appears now with the progress that the totalitarians are making, that time is very short, and the longer it goes on, well, Patrick Henry said the same thing in a different context, the longer it goes on, the worse it gets, the harder it is to overcome.
Alan, thank you so much for explaining this to us. Will you come back and talk about other things? You're an expert on so many things, and you have enlightened us, and I truly hope this will be on YouTube, and people will watch us and listen and check us out. See if what we've said is true.
Exactly.
Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Come back next week for the Watchdog Report.